All right. Hello, everybody. I hope you all are doing well. It's Monday, typically an NFL day, but hey, we're playing NBA basketball here. This is DFS Army's tournament strategy show where we game plan what we're doing on this short two gamer. How are you feeling about this slate, Brandon?
Um, I don't mind it. It's pretty decent matchups in both games. I know there's one big Q tag that can change the whole slate, but have a feeling he plays tonight. So we'll see what happens with that. But I think it's kind of a pretty straightforward two gamer.
Yeah, and I am fighting a bit of a cold, so I know might not sound the best, but we'll try to power through it. And like you said, short two gamer, not too much standing out, but I know we both have one guy that we know is going to be a core play for us. But let's just go ahead and get to the games. There were no games yesterday, so nothing to really look back on. So let's jump into the slate. First things first, we have the Celtics going up against the Pacers. You all know we love playing offenses against the Pacers. This is, out of the two games, the highest total game, and the spread's not bad at 5.5 points. Of course, Kristaps Porzingis is out, and so that does change things a little bit for this team. But who do you like here, Brandon?
So like we were talking about before the show started, I think tonight is going to be one of those balanced nights. So guys in that 5 to 7K range, I feel like we're going to get a good amount of. So two guys that kind of jump out to me most is Derek White and Al Horford. I could see me getting a good chunk of them tonight, especially against this horrible Pacers defense. So I like them quite a bit. I want to get a good amount of Tatum too. He's probably my favorite stud on tonight's slate. So like him a good deal. And then I'll probably have some kind of mixture of Jalen and Drew too. So I'll have a good mixture of everybody. And then I think we definitely have to include Hauser and Pritchard. They're both ugly plays, but they've been seeing over 20 minutes. And on a two gamer, I think they're definitely viable, especially in this matchup. So I honestly probably have a little bit of everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's weird on a two gamer. You're gonna get some gross names. Don't overthink it. Just don't let the gross names be core plays. That's the
Yeah.
the main thought process. It's fine to have exposure to some of these crappy guys because you kind of have to from a pricing standpoint to make things work. But they just shouldn't be your core plays. But I agree with you. We talk about it all the time. We like picking on the Pacers. Tatum is my favorite stud on the slate. Hard to have too much of him. He's not going to be a core play for me because, like you mentioned, I prefer more balanced builds. And because of that, I'm seeing a good bit of Jaylen Brown showing up in my lineups. Of course, we'll both be on the pre-lock show later today, which is at 5:30 p.m. If you're interested in that, click the link in the description. Feel free to use the promo code BDUB, BDUBB, for a 10% discount on that. And of course, on that show, we'll be able to talk more so about like how much Brown are we getting, how much Tatum. But in my initial runs, I have more Brown than Tatum right now because of that balanced approach that we're going for. And then again, I love the matchup here. I'm playing Giroux. He's someone I want to make I want him to be a priority on this slate in the sense that I want to make sure I'm at least around field weight on Giroux, Holiday, and Derek White. Ideally, I won't have to force those guys in. Ideally, the domination station will give me exposure to them naturally, but we'll have to wait and see there. And then Al Horford's another guy. I'm interested in seeing where his ownership's going to fall. Do you like Horford today, Brandon?
Oh, yeah. I'll have a good amount of him. With Porzingis still out, I love him. He falls into that balance build, and it's the Pacers too. And we talk about bigs against this team quite a bit, so I'll have a lot of Horford tonight.
Yeah, and obviously there's a couple bigs that we like on this slate, but Al Horford is priced appropriately. He makes a lot work, and so I think it wouldn't shock me if he ends up being pretty chalky on this slate. But I'm totally comfortable eating that ownership.
It helps that you can play him at power forward and center as well. If he was center only, it would be a little harder to go like super heavy on him. But being able to play him in both spots, I think that's why I'm willing to go really heavy on him.
Yeah, and like you said, there's really just not a Celtics player that I'm not okay playing. So I think it's safe to move on. Anyone else you want to touch on?
That's it for me.
All right. Now, where things get tougher for me is this Pacers team. I always kind of just don't love playing the Pacers guys unless it's Halliburton. It's just annoying. But on a 2-game slate, we kind of have to. You touched on it. Tyrese Halliburton is listed as questionable. He's dealing with that respiratory issue, so we'll see if he plays tonight. I think we both feel like he's probably going to play. Obi Toppin's listed as questionable. What are you doing with the Pacers here?
So I never like going super high on this guy, but he falls into what I want to do tonight. So Miles Turner, I think I'll have a decent amount of him. I do think Halliburton plays tonight, so probably won't go too heavy on him because I think it'll be a little hard to pay that price, and I'll be prioritizing Tatum over him. But I at least want like maybe 5 to 10% on him. Bruce Brown, he's never an exciting play to get to, but 5,600 in the minutes he plays is going to be hard not to go there. So I know I'll have a good chunk of him. And then Buddy Hield, not sure what I really want to do with him. He might be my least exposed guy out of the starters. I know for sure I'll have some because I don't want to completely fade him because I know when his shot is falling, he can definitely break a slate. So especially on a 2-gamer, I just want to make sure I have some, but not a guy I want to go super heavy on. And then as far as Mathurin and Nimbard and these other guys, kind of like Pritchard and Hauser for Boston, they're some of the value we have on a 2-gamer. They're definitely viable. So just want to make sure they're kind of in the mix too, but don't want to go super heavy on them.
Yeah, I keep going back and forth between if I want Tyrese to play tonight, or if I don't. Because if he plays, you're still going to have exposure to like your Hield, Browns, guys like that. But they wouldn't be focal points, priorities you have to have. Whereas if Halliburton doesn't play, we now have to play these streaky shooters. And if you've been playing DFS for a while, you've been burned by pretty much everyone on this team at some point. Long story short, this Celtics team is a good defense. They're typically a team I don't like to pick on very often. That being said, though, before that, I've already seen people starting to talk about this season. X player had a great game against the Celtics earlier this season. Last time out, Tyrese Halliburton wasn't in that Celtics game, so don't look at that previous game as a 1-for-1 because it will be different if Halliburton plays tonight. Now, if Halliburton misses, then we can look at that last game as a bit more of a 1-to-1 example or comparison. So I will look a little bit closer at that if Halliburton ends up being ruled out. The only guy that I am making sure I get exposure to, I like Bruce Brown for the reasons you mentioned. He's seeing consistent minutes. The sim model likes him. He is one of those lower usage guys here recently, so that's a little bit nerve-wracking, but I feel like you have to have exposure to this team on this slate. I'm going to have some exposure to Halliburton, but I'll probably be under the field. Similar. How do you feel about Miles Turner, Brandon?
He's always a guy that makes me nervous going like super heavy on, so I'll kind of be battling that throughout the night. As of now, he's showing as a core play because, like I said, he falls into that balanced build. I just been burned by him so many times in situations like this. I'm going back and forth on it. So not sure if I want him as a core play, but I'm definitely playing him tonight.
Yeah. For me, I really want to see where ownership falls on the Pacers, especially with the starters. And Army Man, we're thinking very similarly today. 2-gamers, I really do just like playing the low-owned starters in games like this and taking my shot there. A lot of streaky shooters here. There's no one that stands out in particular for me. Dave, good to see you, man. Glad you had a good birthday. Glad turning 47 was a smashing success. And you're right. Let's get back to making some money. Keep the good vibes going. Wagwan, kaboom. Hope you're doing well, man. Let's see. Anyone else you want to talk about for the Pacers?
Only if Hallie is ruled out. McConnell, you have to mention him. He just smashes whenever Hallie's out. So he honestly will probably be a lock for me if that happens.
Yeah, and on that same line of thinking, Bruce Brown does see the highest increase in usage when Halliburton's out, and so he would be. I already like Bruce Brown today, but he would be more of a priority for me. Outside of Brown, we see guys like Aaron Nesmith and Andrew Nimbard seeing a nice increase in usage alongside Mathurin too. So quite a few viable plays, but again, still a tough matchup against the Celtics team. Next up, we have the Pelicans against the Kings. The Pelicans are healthy, man. They're healthy. Who are you playing here? Well, Matt Ryan's out. I guess that counts as something a little bit.
So I'll start with Joval. He's probably my favorite player on this team. Mm-hmm. One thing that always concerned me is his minutes. There's been so many games where he's only seen like 20, somewhere between 20 to 25 minutes. Last 4 games, he's played 30 minutes or more, and last game was 36 minutes. So I think the Pelicans finally wised up and are giving him more minutes, and he's only 6,800. So with the minutes he's playing and the price he's at, he's one of my favorite players on the slate. So I'll be going really heavy on him. Brandon Ingram is next. I'm glad to see his prices starting to drop back to where I like to see it. We haven't seen him at this price since like towards the beginning of the season. So if I had to pick him between him, CJ, and Zion, he's my favorite of the 3. So I want to prioritize him over those other guys. And then Herb Jones and Trey Murphy, I think are for sure in the mix at that 5K range. I am prioritizing Herb a little more, but I think Trey is viable as well. And he shoots the ball quite a ton too. So if he can get some of those shots to fall, I can see him being in the mix as well. So that's kind of where I'm focusing at on this team.
Sweet. Yeah, Army, I'll make sure that gets updated. No worries. Yeah, and we're on the same page here, man. I like Brandon Ingram. That price tag really stands out. You know, we haven't been playing a lot of Ingram here lately just because he has not been in the best of form. I'm still a little nervous about it, but the price tag makes me feel a little bit better about it. Joval is going to be a core play for me tonight too. And because I like Joval so much, I'm going to have less Turner. So Turner is going to be one of the chalkiest plays on the slate. I'm not Xing Turner out or anything like that, but I'll be taking a soft fade approach to Turner where I'll be under the field on him and significantly over the field on Giannis Valanciunas. And then, like you mentioned, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, those are guys that will be in my mix tonight. Zion is a lot harder to play. Are you looking at getting any exposure to Zion tonight?
As of now, no, I probably won't have any. And I don't really see anything happening before lock to where I would change my stance on that. So I'd rather just go ahead.
Maybe if Joval didn't play, I would like Zion a lot more.
That would be the only scenario where I would get there, I think. So Ingram would be my priority, like I said, and I actually don't mind some shots on CJ as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're right. I forgot to even mention CJ, but I plan on having exposure to him as well. If you can't tell, I like the Pelicans. I like the Celtics. I'm a little bit more nervous about the Pacers and the Kings. With that being said, who do you like for the Kings?
It's looking like Malik Monk is going to be my highest owned king tonight. He just has that 5K range that I'm looking for, and he plays a good chunk of minutes, and he is a streaky shooter, but on a 2-gamer, I'm just going to have to be okay with going there. And I want to lock like Fox and Sabonis, but with me liking Tatum the most, it's going to be hard to kind of get a good amount of them, but I don't mind taking shots on either one of them, especially Sabonis, because I love playing him when he's under 10K. And then Herter, I'll have a little bit of him. I do like the discount on Monk, so I'll be prioritizing him, but Herter is always viable. And then Trey Lyles is showing a little bit for me too. He's just one of those 4K guys who can be viable in a 2-gamer. So nothing I want to go heavy on, but he'll at least be in the mix.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I am nervous about Monk just because I feel like we talk about this all the time. Kind of like the cheap guy who's coming off of a big game. He literally just put up 40 points against Denver. And
Yeah.
then typically he's more so around that 16, 25, sometimes 30-point performances. So, I just kind of hate playing the guy off of the big game. But he makes a lot of sense on this two-gamer. You said it. We know the upside he brings to the table. So he's viable for those reasons, and he'll be in my mix for sure, but not a guy that I plan on making a core play just because I am a little bit nervous about that. And then Darren Fox is the second guy I'm most excited about on this team, but if I don't get exposure to him because of just the layout of this slate, I don't plan on forcing it, but I have some interest. Outside of that, I really don't like the Kings tonight. I'm not playing Sabonis. He is below 10K for the, which is always makes him a little bit more interesting, but I'm not going there. Anyone else you want to touch on here?
I kind of want to mention Harrison Barnes, but he's not great at all. But he sees 30 plus minutes, and it's a two-gamer, so don't hate taking a shot on him, but nothing I would be super confident in.
I thought about it too. I was just like, those minutes are so enticing at 5K.
Yeah.
But my guy, Harrison Barnes, has a 14% usage rate, dirt poor. He is the
ugly.
epitome of just going out there and doing cardio. But
Yeah.
any given day, all it takes is any given day for Barnes to feel like shooting like he used to. But he has not had a game where he's seen 30 DK points this season, and he's yet to miss a game this season, which is impressive within itself from like an NBA standpoint. But when it comes to DFS, he's lacking the upside we're typically looking at. It looks like I feel like he's probably going to be relatively chalky. If he shows up in my lineups naturally, I'm fine with it. I'm not going to go out of my way to try and go lower on him or anything, because at 5K, like you said, he makes a lot work. And if he gets a little bit more aggressive from a shooting standpoint, he can definitely make it into the nuts tonight. What are your thoughts on a guy like Trey Lyles?
He's another guy where if he shows up in the mix, I'm okay with. Kind of like what you mentioned with Harrison. I'm not going to go out of my way to X him out, but he's not a guy I want to go super heavy on. So not going to be a priority for me.
Yeah. Army Man Herder, probably going to lock him in. Only 5K on FanDuel. Low owned, might work. Yeah, I like targeting the low owned streaky shooters on two gamers. I don't think that's a bad approach. I don't know how many lines you're running, Army, so I don't know if it's like necessary to lock him in, but I don't hate like targeting him. We'll see once ownership gets updated for us. We'll have that by the time we get to the pre-lock show, so we'll be able to focus a little bit more on where we're going to make our pivots, but that's pretty much where we're at for now. Any last words or anything you want to add before we go our separate ways for a little bit, Brandon?
Yeah, kind of the obvious, but biggest thing is just seeing what happens with Hallie. If he plays, it's kind of straightforward, and then if he doesn't, I think you're definitely gonna have to prioritize the Pacers even more. So just keep an eye out for that news, and the rest is kind of straightforward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. That's going to be a make or breaker for us. And like I said, I think for me, the way I'm thinking about it, I'm really trying to focus on the Celtics and the Pelicans tonight. And then whatever exposure I get to the Pacers and Kings, that's great. But I'm a lot less excited about that side of the ball in those games. So appreciate you all for sticking it out with us. Like I said, I know Mondays are a little bit slower and it's only a 2-game slate. So I always appreciate the support. If you all could like and subscribe, it really helps the channel grow. We're super close to 20,000 subscribers, so looking forward to hitting that milestone. And then, like I said, we'll be back for the pre-lock show to later today at 5:30 p.m. And as long as I'm still feeling good, we'll be back tomorrow for the early tournament strategy show. Y'all have a good one. Peace out.